How's it going, everybody? I'm Lewis and we've got a new developer blog from the RuneScape team going over the soon to be latest poll which covers the PvM quality of life updates. Our first section goes over the Dagannoth lair solutions. A while ago, a second Dagannoth room was polled. I believe the players were going to pay about 500k to an NPC to gain access to the lair, and this idea was well received. However, it did fail. Since then, more bosses have had instances or multiple areas for players to fight them in, which has boosted the support for the additional lair. So from this, the old school RuneScape team will be polling 4 options to find out the best solution for the Dagannoth lair. The options are a single copy of the Dagannoth King room for use on Slayer assignment only, and potentially it could come with a diary requirement, the ability to create an instance room on demand but with no ring drops, the ability to create an instant room on demand with regular loot drops, or something else entirely. In my opinion, I don't think a DK room is necessarily required, especially now because there's ways to check the DK lair for players before you enter. That being said, if it were to pass a poll, I'll prefer the single room for use on a Slayer assignment. I'm a fan of Slayer only areas, especially with monsters that are killed by many Slayers. Of course they can be killed without Slayer, however the current lair should be sufficient enough to accommodate for this. Additionally, I also support a cost for the use of the room, such as the 25k on the Kraken instance, except with a better cost because something like 25k at the Kraken is very easy to make back. Even 100k is easy to make back. Moving on to the Elysian Shield changes. With the new raid rewards having such an effect on the price of the Elysian Spirit Shield, the old school RuneScape team would like to offer making the Elysian damage reduction effect apply to many attacks that hit through protection prayers. This will boost the applications of the shield, causing more players wanting to get it, hopefully making the shield establish its price a bit more whilst the raid rewards establish themselves. The NPCs that this effect will apply to will be the Abyssal Sire and its minions, Venanatus, Vishan, the Crazy Archaeologist, the Chaos Fanatic, Brascan Mage, the Corporeal Beast, Obor the Hill Giant, Crook, Keith, Cobb and the Monkey Madness 2 boss, the Cave Kraken boss, the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, Superior Slayer Gargoyle encounter, the Superior Slayer Dark Beast encounter, Stone Guardians and the Chambers of Zarek, Lizardman Shamans, Zulra, the Demonic Gorillas, Giant Rock from My Big Arms Adventure, and Death Spawns from the Necro Summons, which are quite a lot of monsters, and I think for most players they've just got to think whether or not they would like that. At the moment I'm unsure, so I'll have to see when the poll comes around. Moving on for the other suggestions for PvM. Should they add a crack in the floor in safe places near the descents to the Cowfight Queen's chamber and the DK chamber, so that players could peek and then hop worlds without being in combat? That will definitely make checking for a world a lot easier for those bosses. But then again, if we do get the new lairs for the DK room, it won't be as much of an issue for those, however the Cowfight Queen may still struggle. Should they increase the experience provided by the Dark Relic? It'll be usable on all skills, providing 150 times your level for skills used in raids, such as combat and mining, and 50 times for other skills. Currently it's only usable on combat stats, and provides a much lower amount of experience. When it comes to the poll, I think I'll probably skip that question because I don't really know too much about the Dark Relic. I understand it can be used in combat stats, but I'm not entirely sure how much experience it provides. When peeking into a boss room, if the boss is present, should its current hit points be displayed? I think that'll be very useful, and perhaps if they do that, they could add something that will show Iron Men if the monster's been damaged recently. Should Slayer Masters offer the unlock ability for Mithril Dragons to drop their bars in noted form? This would apply only whilst you're slaying them on assignment and will cost 200 points to unlock. I think that's something many players would like and make a lot of money from. And I don't really mind if players had that, however I am thinking a lot of these noted bars tend to come from achievement diaries, so perhaps they could look at adding it as an achievement diary reward instead of the Slayer assignment reward. However, I do like the fact that it'll only apply when you're on assignment with them, which I don't know how often players get Mithril Dragons, but I imagine it's much less than just going down and killing them whenever you like. Should they remove the requirement to empty your hands whilst charging a trident? It would still require the same ingredients as before. Staffs and other rune supplying equipment would not be accepted. That should probably save some inventory space for some players that have a low trident charge before they go out somewhere. Should the Spectral Spirit Shield reduce prayer drain by 50% of all prayer draining attacks? However, this would not include player attacks. This is an interesting question. Currently the shield has this effect against the souls that Cerberus summons. So this update would introduce it to all NPCs but not players. Because it isn't against players, I think I don't mind this update. However, I'm not too sure how much the Spectral Shield needs an update at the moment. Should they shrink the empty cave outside the Corporeal Beast lair, this will make it less likely to have map loading trigger in the middle of a fight area. That sounds good, it will really reduce the amount of players that get attacked from those map loading issues. Should the King Black Dragon's respawn timer be reduced to 10 seconds? Again, this is something they've been doing to a lot of bosses recently. So I'm not really bothered by it, but I do feel, again, it's unnecessary. Finally, we're going on to the Divine Spirit Shield. Since the Corporeal Beast was introduced to Old School RuneScape, the Divine Spirit Shield has been talked about. Of course it failed its original poll, but it's been a few years, so the Old School RuneScape team just need to make sure that was the right decision. The Divine Spirit Shield carried a 100% chance of reducing incoming damage by 30% at the cost of draining your prayer points by 50% of that 30% reduction. This is very powerful, however we do need to remember that Old School RuneScape has had a significant change with so many items coming into the game since the Corporeal Beast introduction, especially since raids came out because there were so many items that came in from that. So perhaps we've got the power creep enough for the shield to come out. So the Old School RuneScape team will be asking, how do you feel about the Divine Spirit Shield? It should drop as a sigil that is added to an Elysian Spirit Shield to create the Divine Shield. That will definitely help the price of the Elysian Spirit Shield and definitely have an insane price on the Divine Spirit Shield. It should drop as a sigil that is added to the Blessed Spirit Shield as before, which is exactly what's in RuneScape 3. It should not be added to Old School RuneScape, and of course, skip question. I think it shouldn't be added to Old School RuneScape. We've had more powerful items come into the game since the Corporeal Beast was introduced. However, I don't think it's necessary to add the Divine Spirit Shield right now. As for whether or not it should be put on a normal Blessed Spirit Shield, like in RuneScape 3, or put on the Elysian Spirit Shield to help their prices, I'm not too sure. I think you've got to fight familiarity with decent economics. If you want to let the Old School RuneScape team know what you think about any of the items in this developer blog, please go on the forums. And if you want to discuss anything with me, please do so in my comments below. If you want to watch my video on the latest Old School RuneScape poll, please click here for Old School RuneScape polls. And if you want to watch my video on the latest Old School RuneScape developer blog, please click here for the poll. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the Old School RuneScape updates, DevBlog and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.